All right. Hey, hi there. I'm Tiffany Lee, if you don't know me. And my passion is truly helping busy mom entrepreneurs to be rock stars, not only in the kitchen, but also to successfully balance life. And I've been an entrepreneur since 2010. And when I started, I struggled. I struggled in life. I struggled finding that balance, but also just struggled in the business itself, and because I didn't have the right systems, the support as I do now. And in 2018, I essentially started from scratch. So no team members, no sales, absolutely nothing. To now we have almost 300 team members, sold almost 500,000 in career sales. We're an executive team, and we sold almost 1.5 million last year. But I also work as a nurse practitioner full time, and that's at least 50 hours, and I'll say plus. I'm married. I have two kids, Madeline, who is 10, and she's in dance plus softball, and then a wide open 4-year-old son named Trent. And then we also volunteer at church, and I could keep going on. We have a busy life schedule. So in addition to all that, I also have a growing and thriving business. And so many of you may want a successful business, and or life balance, like the balance seemed to be the common theme here. But I'm here today to tell you that you can have all of that plus more. So most of you have asked me, how do you do it all? So today I'm going to share a few things about how I use block scheduling and time management. So the first thing to know is that we have the same amount of time, 168 hours a week, 24 hours a day. So the difference between the people that struggle and those that succeed is how they use that time. And so before I give you tips, we must start with mindset around this topic. So a lot of people like to think or say to themselves repeatedly, oh, I don't have time. I don't have enough time. Then you're right. You won't have any time and you'll make excuses instead. But if you think and say to yourself that we all have the same amount of time, and if someone else that is successful can do it, then I can too. And where there is a will, there is a way. Am I right? And so mindset, being in the right mindset to learn about this topic is essential, especially if you tried to do a schedule or time management before and it didn't go so well. I want to make sure that you have a fresh new slate that you're going to learn tips today to be able to implement. But today I'm going to talk to you guys about how I manage my time with my block schedule. And then I'll mention resources I use. For the sake of time, those that are interested in learning more about the individual resources, I will do a subsequent training on those in more detail. If you're interested, let me know. But when it comes to block scheduling, you can use a paper calendar or an electronic one like Google Calendar. So I use a little bit of both. I use my paper calendar the most, but I do use Google Calendar for important details or events that my husband needs to know because he has access to view it. And that saves time, right? And decreases him asking me over and over, what do I have during the week? So if I have work events or team calls, then I'll make sure that those are in the Google Calendar. But block scheduling itself, you have to get used to it, and it does take some time to get used to. And so what I want to tell you guys today is give yourself grace when you start using it, and know that as you do it, it will become easier. So block scheduling allows me to block time for certain tasks and make sure I have a balanced business and life. And so I schedule everything, guys, from when I wake up to when I nap. Yes, I do. To meals and more. And then you can decide how much detail you wish to put in your calendar, but starting is essential. So I typically take every Sunday and I plan out my schedule for the week. So the first thing to think about and write down is your non-negotiables. So these are timeframes that are hours that are fixed that you have no control over. So for example, your 8 to 5 job, your daughter's dance time, appointments you may have, etc. I even put family time in this category because that is a priority of mine. And those, are not flexible, but they're fixed. So you have to know like what is on your calendar for that week that you can't change and that you must do. The second thing I do is that I do almost like a brain dump, I guess you can call it, where I write out a list of tasks that I want or need to accomplish during that week. And if it's a repeated task, then I'll make sure that that's up there so that I can say, okay, I need to do this every single day. But this could even include a nap on your days off, because guys, you have to take care of yourself to have that balance. Okay, you can't work all the time. So, and the best tip too, when it comes to a schedule and a calendar, is color coding your task in your calendar. So, for example, like using red for any appointments, and then purple for any business related tasks, and then blue for any personal task. You get the idea. But this way, what happens is it's easier to look at it at a glance to see what you have for the week, what where you're spending most of your time, and it's way more organized that way. And so when you guys said that you want balance, like business and life, when you go and you color coordinate your schedule, you'll find out where you're spending most of your time. And that kind of gives you a reality check that, okay, well, I need to fix this, and so that I can do more of whatever else, you know what I mean, to find the balance. So the calendar I use, a lot of you guys have asked, is for direct sellers, but it's from Belinda Ellsworth. It's the 2022 version. And I can give you guys the link to it. But I love it because it has tabs on each one for each month. But then it also has like your wide open calendar. And then each week is divided into 30 minutes. So you could do 15-minute increments, or you can do 15 or 30. And if you're starting out, I would say 30 would be ideal. And then you can go kind of from there. So, but that's my paper calendar. I will show you what a Google Calendar looks like as well, and how it functions, because I think it's always great to have both of those options for you. And the calendar that works best for you is the one that you should work with. And if you're not sure, I always say pick one and then find out if you like it, if you don't like it, and then kind of go from there. I also like this paper calendar if you're in, if you have a business, because it also allows you to put like where you were at last year, where you're at this year, and then it kind of gives you a comparison. And there's training that actually comes with that calendar so that you can learn more as you go along. But essentially you want to schedule out each day for at least a week. And I always do it on Sunday, because that way I have the most updated information that I need to do that week. But the way you actually do this is by, number one, is I put when I wake up and when I go to sleep. Again, this will be the time interval you'll strive for, because you are at your best when your body knows when to be awake and when to be asleep. And the only way to schedule that is by sticking to it and doing the best you can. And you'll feel like literally a new person, and your body will just get into a rhythm. Just like, baby, they wake up at 6 o'clock or whatever, like clockwork. Literally, that is what you want your body to be doing. So that's number one, is wake up and bedtime. Then I'll go to putting in all those non-negotiables in my schedule first for that week. So my work, any of the appointments, any calls, training calls, any of those things, I make sure that they are all in there. And again, I color code them depending on what they are. And then once I have all of those, I call them like big rocks where you can't move them, that's what they're there for. Then you can look to see, okay, where do I have white space? Okay, like where's my extra time? And you want to make sure you do cap off lunch too, so that you can see, okay, I have this time and this time. And that will give you a reality of how much time you have to work your business or to do the tasks that you wish to do. Because what the third step is that you're going to want to put the tasks that you brain dumped that said, I need to do this week. You're going to put those tasks in your calendar, and then you're going to spread it out. Okay. And when you have a business, you want to make sure that you start with income producing tasks. So like customer care, customer follow-ups, bookings, those things that are going to give you additional business, and it's going to grow. because at the end of the day, if you run out of time, right, you want to make sure you at least did those income producing tasks and didn't get stuck like making images on Canva, right? So always put your income producing tasks first, and then fill in the gaps for what else that you want to complete that week. So how many of you are thinking like, okay, how do you stick to it? Especially when you use paper calendar, because what happens if something comes up during the week or life happens? And I could go on with the questions, but the most important tip, and this is where people fail, is for block scheduling success is you have to be flexible with your time. So people think block schedule is fixed, it can't move, like I have to eat lunch here, I have to do these things. And what I'm going to show you is that you do not, it's not going to have to be completely rigid. It can be flexible, because you never know, like especially if you're a mom, your kid might get sick, or you might have to go somewhere, or your work might run over. But I'm going to show you kind of how you can get the things done with the time, even if things come up. But with that being said, for a paper calendar, I use these special pens, and I'll give you guys the link, but my teacher friends told me about, and they are erasable, like totally erasable, and you can't even see it. And they're different colors. And so that is why, you know, I can write them down on different colors in my paper calendar. And if life happens, I can erase them and put the task at a different time interval during that day. So if you're a paper person and you've been avoiding it because of the fact that you were using a regular pen, hopefully you learned something new today, and because that was a game changer. But if you have something that comes up when you're scheduled to work your business, but then you have like a block of time later where you were gonna do a task, or maybe it was a free block, then you just switch those. Okay, so right now, like, so say you were supposed to be doing your outreaches for your business, and then 2 hours you're supposed to have a free time block. Well, something happened, right? Well, then you switch it. Okay, that way you still get the tasks that you wish to complete, you still get them done during each day. In reality, if you don't have a schedule, you'll actually not even do that task. You, in your mind, you'll say, okay, well, you know, that goes on the back burner because this came up. So you kind of like scratch it off your brain, like I can't do that today, but you can. You just switch them, okay? And that's why the biggest reason people fail with the schedule and time management, because you're not flexible, and you have to be. And like I said, especially if you are a mom or someone busy, because of the fact that anything can come up. And like I said, I'll share the link to those pins so that you can grab some if you want to try them out. Another tip for success is scheduling family time and including your family in it, okay? So your family, you want to say, okay, let's sit down. When can mommy work the business, and when will I not work the business? Especially if you have a spouse. This was a game changer in our house, because the whole family knows now, like, okay, well, I'm going to work in my business in these blocks, right, throughout the week. So right now, my whole family knows that that block of time, during those certain days, is when mommy works her business. So the cool thing is that it's kind of everyone's scheduled, so you don't feel guilty because everyone knows that you're working your business. But also, the best part about it is you stop fake working and you do real work. So the reason I say fake working is how many times have you felt like you sat at the computer for hours and you don't know what you completed? Like you're like, I worked all day, but you didn't do very much like productive tasks to get, results. Because when you have like an X amount of time, so like if you have 2 hours to do certain tasks in that time allotted, guys, you are going to focus and get it done, because you know that if you don't get it done in that 2-hour block, it's not going to get done because you're going to go through your whole schedule. So every Friday evening is our family time. Like it is totally blocked off. Like when I do not work my business at all from that time I get home until the next Saturday morning. Find out what works for you, but that's what I call, like, that's not flexible, like rigid. Like that is their time. And throughout the week I have pockets of time as well. And so, but you'll want to find out what works for you. But a lot of people get burned out in the business, or they feel like a schedule doesn't work because they're trying to make a schedule and not showing it to the people that kind of can change that schedule, or not allowing them to have input in that schedule. And so then that's like the schedule just goes out the window. You might as well just crumble it up and throw it, right? And so I hope that if you're one of those people, that you definitely will take time to say, okay, like I want to schedule my time. When's a good time for me to work my business? And so that has been a game changer. And that's where you get your balance, right? Because a lot of you guys said you wanted the balance, and that is definitely where it is. So one question that comes up is, how much do I allow for certain activities? So what I found is, if you're not sure how long it takes you to do certain tasks, is that when you go to do the task, like literally write down the time you started, do the task, and when you're done, look at that time and see how long it took you to do it. So if it was a lot longer than it should be, that's a reality check, right? So because then you can think of, how can I shorten it but make it still as productive? And that, this goes for business activities, or even laundry or dishes, or all those things we have to do. But that way, when you schedule out your time, you're being realistic with the time interval to do the task, right? Because if you say, I'm going to work on this for 2 hours, but it realistically takes you 3 hours, right? You're going to run overtime and you're not going to have enough time. So then it stresses you out because you're going to a different activity and you're not supposed to be, you're not finished. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to be set up for success. And so what I did when I first started block scheduling is I just literally wrote down everything I did during the day. Like every time I started something or ended something, I wrote the time down. And that was a reality check for sure, because I realized, why did it take me so long to do this task? Like it should not take that long. And that was when you start critiquing yourself and you become more productive and you stop fake working and you do real work. You shut off notifications, you do the task right, focus, right, tunnel vision. But that's how you can be set up for success. And then I keep my calendar with me at all times. And then, when I use Google Calendar, if you use Google Calendar, it actually will pop up and notify you of tasks or events that you have in your calendar. And when you're on your computer, it could even make, cool little sound to kind of remind you of like, here's your upcoming task that you need to do or your activity on your schedule. But do yourself a favor and stick to it as much as you can. So at first, it's going to be harder, but the more you do this, the more you will find that you're going to be doing the same things certain days of the week. And what happens is, because of that, you almost become like a well-oiled machine. So it becomes easier week after week. And because your schedule will be pretty much like, on Sundays, you're going to do your calendar, you're going to look at your week. You'll know that, okay, I do that between this time and this time. And if you do it the same time each week, as close to it as you can, you'll be doing things easier, and you doesn't take as much energy doing the things each week. So hopefully that makes sense, because you'll also be able to know, okay, I'm going to be making sure that I'm spending time for myself, because you need to make time for yourself, guys, for real. Your family, your business, and then your life, okay? And that is how you truly find the balance. But when you put the activities that you need to accomplish each week in those available spaces, right, you may find that you don't have enough time. You may have this list of like 10 things, but you only have a couple little blocks of time. So what that means is you prioritize. Income producing activities is first. And if you don't have a business, then you would just prioritize it based on importance. But that is when you pinpoint certain areas each day that you have available to do them. Okay. So you're going to then go, okay, well, when could I work in the business? So could you check messages from customers during your lunch break? Could you do it while you're sitting in line waiting for your child from school, or outside of dance like we do, where we have pockets of time we waste either by scrolling or just flat out doing nothing, that you could be using to do these tasks each week. And so when you start to see, okay, I don't have that much white space, you'll then say, okay, that clues you into, let me just evaluate my whole day or each day to see when you can maximize it. So the other thing is, this may include, I need a virtual assistant for my business to do some of these tasks that are on my need to accomplish list, but don't require my personality. Or maybe you look at the list and go, automation could put that into place and will do it while I'm working the business. And that would be working smarter and not harder, right? Or maybe it means that you start your daily routine early, like you get up earlier to fit it in. So, but if you're not doing all the different pieces that you wish to be doing every day, this is how you can find the time to do it. Okay. And it's going to be kind of like a reality check when you do look at it, because you're either going to have so much time that you're like, why have I not been doing the things? Or you're going to say like, okay, well, we need to be smarter. Let me think through this to see how I can get all this done with the time. Okay. But hopefully that makes sense. And virtual assistants do not have to be a lot of money. They could be just for product or anything. It could be a high school student, but honestly, it will help you. So if you make packets for your business, if you send out messages, if you use automated system, all those things somebody could be putting in for you. So do think through that. And then that allows you to kind of focus on what you need to do. And the last 3 tips, and I'm going to show you the Google Calendar, is that I want to give you is that when you're doing block scheduling, it's to set a timer when you're working on certain tasks. So that way, when the time is up, it saves you time from constantly looking at your clock. Okay. So I found out when I first did it that I would like, okay, at 4:30, okay. And you just keep looking at it. So you're not even productive because you keep looking at your clock. So setting a timer is key. If the timer is up and you are like not done with that task, sorry guys, but you still move on, because if not, you won't have a balanced business. You won't be able to hit all of your things. And if it's something super important that you should finish, then make note of that you need to start blocking off a larger amount of time to get that done. So it's going to take trial and error from your part to figure out like what you can do or what you can use like time frame, or do you need less time or more time to do certain things. But you want to then move on to the next thing, okay? And so the other thing I wanted to bring up, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, but also when you are having family time or personal time, y'all need to star this. If you're making notes, star it, okay? This is the best thing that I ever did, okay? Is when you're having family time, personal time, or business time, okay? But if you're whatever activity you're doing, you are fully engaged mentally and physically. So if you're doing family time, your phone is not on, your phone is not like, you're not checking messages. It's going to be, you're literally fully present for your family. You want to devote your full attention to the activity at the current time, like mentally and physically. And your family and friends will totally love you for this, because you're not stuck on your phone. Like, where's my phone? It's all the way over here. But you're not like this. Yeah, mom. Yeah. How many of y'all do that? Yep. And you're not even getting work done because you can't pay attention to what they said. They just had to tell you 3 times. And then you just backspace 8 times to like write a sentence. So if you're engaged here or engaged here, make sure whichever activity has your full attention. Okay. And like I said, it's a lesson I had to learn. Take my tip. I actually found that I automatically grabbed my phone. And so I had to put it on top of the refrigerator so that I wouldn't accidentally pick it up. And so be present in the activity that you're doing. And that is another way that you can have that life balance and have a schedule that works for you. Because a lot of people that say they need balance is because people around them keep telling them they're working too much or they're always working. And that's why, because you're trying to mix those activities. Okay. Now, the calendar, let me show you this is what I've been working on today. It's not fully done. So, but I wanted to show the picture to you of kind of like, I put a line for the block of time. You could color it in, whatever you want to do. And then I use the different colors for if it's a business related activity, if it's a personal activity, or is it, whatever you can see, or if it's an appointment, that kind of thing. And what I love to know is like, okay, well, I can get, these open areas. I can get time to do those things. And then you put your calls as well. And then when do you go to bed? Now, the calendar I like is the one I'm using is because it has must do's in the very bottom. So it's good. You can put like your top 3 things that you absolutely must do that day, or 2 things, whatever you want to use it for. But I like it because it puts it at the forefront so that you don't forget. It's kind of like, okay, I must do this before I go to bed. Okay. And if you see, I even scheduled this call. And then what I have after all the way till I I even put get ready for bed, y'all, and then go to bed. The other thing I'll show you is the Google Calendar. And a lot of you are familiar with it, but let me show it to you. So I just did this a day for an example, but you can put you can repeat the task. So if you get up at 8 o'clock every morning and do breakfast and coffee, then when you go to put it in here, it'll ask you if it's going to be all day or if it's going to be a repeated task. So let me see if I can, hold up. I'm going to put it on the full screen so you guys can see it. So if I flip through, y'all will still see them. Okay. So if I was to add something like you say, like exercise, then you can change the timing. So you can say, okay, at 7:30 to 8:30, I'm going to exercise. And if you're going to exercise at 7:30 every morning, then you can say, like, click on where it says does not repeat, and it will give you options of daily, like I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do it only on Sundays. I'm going to do it on the 4th Sunday. And what happens is Google Calendar will actually put it on every one of those dates. Okay. So for instance, if I say daily, and I'll show you, but if you want to change the color, a lot of people ask me that. This is where you change the color at the bottom. Okay. To whatever color code you want it to be. So but if you save it, I'll show you what the week is. You see it put exercise all the way across. So if you did that for every, non-negotiable, then you would be able, and all of your training calls or anything that you want to do that's always the Thursday of the week or every second Thursday or Tuesday, you can actually do it where you can fill it in automatically, and then all you have to do is put in the little bit extra. So, but you just color code them, and this takes a little bit of time, guys, but when you realize how much you get done and you're so productive, you will actually do it every single week, because when you don't, you feel lost. Okay. So like I said, like the training, and then I'm going to be working on like a March call template, and then doing dinner, family time, getting ready for bed. So hopefully that makes sense. Google Calendar is free, and so you can play around with it. There's a Google, like the Calendar app, so it actually syncs to your phone. And I like it because you can share it with other people, and so they can see like where you're supposed to be at when, in real time too. And some teams even have it where their training schedule populates. But if you're, either one, if you're not sure which, just, start with one and find out. Start with Google Calendar, it's free. And then if you're like, yeah, this electronic thing's not for me, then you can get a paper calendar. And there's nothing fancy. You'll find a calendar that works for you, but or you could just print out 1 week from Google on 30 minutes, sections, and then fill it in. But what happens is you realize like, oh my goodness, like I was able to do all of this. And what I found fascinating when I started to really do it, and like I said, give yourself grace, because you're going to miss a few things and you're going to get frustrated, but don't get frustrated, because the next day you'll get better at this. And then you'll memorize your calendar. But what I want to tell you though, is that don't give up, because you can do this. Okay. Now, one thing is if you find that you don't have the time, is truly think about automation. I plan to do trainings on this specifically because it could they'll take the whole time. And a lot of you have asked what I use. And so what I use, and many of you know already, but is Project Broadcast, which I use for customer follow-ups, team follow-ups. And I also use it for if I do something for a customer and then I send, I don't know, they're supposed to send something to them. I can schedule it in 3 days to follow up with them and say, hey, did you get your thing? And what that does, it saves me a lot of time and effort and stress trying to remember, okay, on Wednesday of next week, I need to be reaching out to X, Y, and Z. And this is how, when you grow as a company or business, is how you can scale, right? Or if you know that every day you need to check in with your recruit, or your team member, then you can schedule it like every day you reach out to them. And so that's been really a big time saver. But if you're interested in trying it out and you haven't tried it out, I can give you a link so you can have 500 free messages. Post My Party is another one that we use for automating our parties. And then, like I said, if you want the links, I have them in the document I'm going to share for you. But that way you don't have to do manual posting. If you don't have a business, because I know some that are going to watch this replay do not, you can still utilize scheduled messaging. So, because there's always somebody you need to follow up with. So you can schedule text on your phone individually, and that way it automatically sends. Or if you want to remember, oh, I can't forget to send somebody a happy birthday message, you can actually schedule it so it will send, and so that you won't forget. And so how much less stress would it be to know that all of that was taken care of? I use boards for our team system and then certain party types that we have, but you also can use it for objections for customers, or if you have a common thing that you send to people over and over and over, that you can use boards, or you can use a text replacement, which there is a ton of free apps out there for text replacement. And then we have automated our onboarding system, which is very useful for time management, and it allows us to gain time to spend developing relationships, helping and supporting team members with check-ins instead of just pushing out little steps at a time. And so that's been very useful for our team members, but also, the recruiters too that are bringing them on board. Guys, I'm sure there's more, and I do have so much more, but those are the top ones that I use. And if you're interested in learning more details about the resources that I use and how I utilize them to save time with my personal life and business, let me know in the chat and I'll get them, or I'll let you know when I do them. But block scheduling is truly life. And I hope that you all learned something that you can start doing this week or today. Like I challenge you to block schedule tomorrow at least, and do it. But the best advice is just to start. So many people say, I need to do a schedule, and they say it for a whole year. Just start and go from there. But since truly starting to work my business in 2018 with success, teaching others, I have trial and error, I have really developed a passion for paying it forward to those that want more in their business so that they can be successful. And I really have totally enjoyed it. So I hope to share more about how to show up on social media, things that, how to stop fake working. A lot of you guys probably laughed at that. How to attract other people to you. I've been learning more about that. And so I would love to just, give you those trainings in the future, but let me know if you're interested. Okay. And then I have a document that I'm going to be sending you that registered through your email. And so that you'll have the links to the resources that I talked about, the pins, the calendar, all of those things. And that way, if you want to try paper calendar, you can try this one, or you can try Google Calendar. Okay. But thank you for showing up and wanting to be the best version of yourself. I believe in all of you guys, and know that you're going to do amazing. So let's see, what questions do you have? Any questions? Increasing the resources, yep, all the things. I love it. So yeah, and each resource is like a training in itself, right? To like be able to show you how to use it for your life and your business. Um, and so it might even be better in little mini trainings and like record them and give them to you. But yeah, let's see, got to trot playing. All right, bye, Joyce. Thanks for jumping on. But how many of you guys have tried a schedule and it failed miserably? Like, let me know. Like, or have you, Jessica? Yeah. Anybody else? The pens and calendar would be great too. Yes. It's been a game changer for sure. And what happened is I had a paper calendar and I was talking to one of the teacher friends, and she's like, have you not tried these pens? They're like different colors and they erase. And I'm like, erase? And like, because I've heard of them erasing before, but they never really erase the whole thing, right? But these actually do. Yes, I have started and failed with scheduling. So a lot of people fail because they don't give themselves enough time to do them, or they just don't follow it. Like they start at lunch at say from 1 to 2, I'm gonna do this, and then they get distracted, and then the rest of the day goes. Is that you guys? Denise is shaking her head. Yeah. So that's why I said give yourself grace, but don't give up. Like just say, okay, like if you get to the end of the day and then you were supposed to do X, Y, and Z and you didn't do it, don't say, oh, I'm horrible. Like, please don't tell you. If you put it out there, you're going to think it. So say, you know what? I did most of it today and I'm going to do better tomorrow. And then you just go to tomorrow and you keep doing it. But like I said, especially if you have a business, you know what you do each day between. And if you do the same things each day of the week, you'll start to it will become automatic and it'll be easier and easier. Kathy and me, I've written down a list of things on paper and never get past first 2 things. Yes, and that's why I really love the whole like, what 3 things do I have to, or 2 things do I have to do today? Like before I go to bed, what do I need to do? That's very, very helpful. And when you do almost like a to-do list or a brain dump or whatever you want to call it, and then you schedule it out throughout the week, you'll know, okay, well, I'm going to get it done. And when you write it on one list and you don't have a schedule, you're stressed because you have 15 different things and you're like, how am I going to get all this done? Because as a human, you feel like you need to do them all in one day, right? But in reality, you don't have to. Like, it's not priority. That thing could be done by Wednesday. Give yourself like a due date. But it does work, and especially because they say like busy people get it done, and I really think it's because we don't have a choice. Like our life is so crazy, we only have like a few pockets of time to get work done. But if you start to do this and you struggle, please reach out to me and I'll see how I can help you. But definitely do it and then stick with it. And if you find when you fail it or don't do well, find out why. Like, what was it about it that you didn't do? Like, was it not having it with you so you don't know what you're supposed to do? Or was it just not having not having it with you, or not giving yourself enough time? Like, what was it? That's the real key, because that's how I figured out. I didn't give myself enough time. I thought it would take an hour to do something that actually takes 2 hours. And so, but like I said, you kind of live and you like learn how long it takes you to do it. Okay. Well, no questions. I did awesome. All right. So hopefully all of you guys have emailed or registered. I'm going to send the PDF version of the resources and the recording to all of you, and that way you can rewatch it if you're like, what did Tiffany say? And I also have done a time management and organization training for our team, and I added that in there in case you want to watch it and get some tips from it. Okay. But you can definitely do it and totally rock your business. Well, if I don't have any questions, then I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye. Y'all are welcome.